the Festool Kapex KSC 60. This is Festool's first cordless miter saw, and I know myself and many of you guys have been waiting a long time for this saw. And I'm going to go over the features and just do a quick little review of it and my initial impressions of it. This saw was just launched overseas in Europe, and we should probably expect it here in the States, probably, I would say, spring of 2023. A lot of times Festool will do a fall release and a spring release. A lot of times tools that will come out in October, September in Europe, we'll usually see them in March or April of the following year here in the United States. So to go over some of the features of the saw and what I like about it and what I think, this is the KSC 60, which has been out actually for a long time in Europe, the corded version. Here in the States, we have only had the KS 120 miter saw, which, for good or bad, was an amazing saw, but I know the older versions have had a lot of motor issues. This is using Festool's second generation EC Tech brushless motors, which is the same motor that's in the cordless track saws. And from my use of it, these motors are extremely powerful. You're not even gonna tell you're using a cordless saw. And as long as you have enough battery, it's gonna pretty much get through any job you want. These things are very powerful, and I'm very impressed with the power output of them. I know with the cordless track saw, you can run it off one 18-volt battery, but with the Kapex, it needs both, so it's not gonna run if you just take one of these out. Now, to go over some of the features of the saw, this is gonna pretty much have any, if you guys are familiar with any, higher end saw, this is gonna have every single feature, whether it's a, depth of cut adjustment, full bevel adjustments, any feature you guys need on this thing, it's gonna have. And there's some few features that kind of set this apart from pretty much the competition, and besides it being a Festool. Now, one of the things I do like, the original Festool, the KS10, I shouldn't say original, but the KS 120, I mean, it does have like a dual laser system on each side of the blade. This uses the new shadow light system, and if you guys aren't familiar with it, it's a really nice system. I think DeWalt, I don't know if DeWalt was the first company to do it, but since then I know a lot more are adopting it because you don't have to adjust the laser and it's dead on. And if you guys, how it works is you got a little button here, press it on for a light, and it puts a light right above the blade. So as you lower the saw, it drops a shadow line exactly of the curve. So that line, rather than a laser that you have to adjust, it's just giving you a shadow mark, which is the exact curve of the blade. So you know exactly where you're actually cutting. So you can bring it down, line the piece up when you're ready to cut it. And I'm a big fan of the shadow lines because it is so accurate, and there's nothing to fine tune with the lasers. Every once in a while, those lasers will move around on you. You have to line them back up. Another nice thing about it, I don't know if you actually have this in any other miter saw. So Festool may be the only, and especially any cordless. So I know the KS 120 has it, but any other saw on the market, you guys can let me know if I'm wrong in the comments. It's a variable speed motor, all right, which is very rare for a miter saw. I know, we see on track saws and everything, which is probably why they can do it, because they are using the same motor as the track saw. If you come over to this side, you guys can see it right there. Let me zoom in. All right, you guys can see the RPMs per speed goes from 1300 all the way up to 3500 on 6. And I believe the colors are supposed to represent the material in the booklet, what material you use. So for guys that want to say you want to cut aluminum or some metals on this, I do know they make metal blades for the Kapex. You guys can put that in. Honestly, I'm not gonna have metal scraps flying up on my Kapex. I think a lot of Festool guys baby their saws. So I don't know if I'm gonna be cutting aluminum on this, but if you ever need to, you could slow it down, slow the RPMs down, and have no problem with it. So other features, it does have these feet, which if you guys have a MFT table, they have these pads on it. I don't know if you can see it right there. And they line up with the holes on the Kapex table. Not the Kapex table, the MFT table. So they can kind of sit here. They do sell for the Kapex 120, they sell a smaller version of these tables. I don't really see many guys having them, but, you know, it puts this a little bit lower. And the height is also designed, if you guys have, you know, a Sustainer 1, you can put a Sustainer 1 down, and it's going to be the exact same height of here. So that way, you know, if you're doing floor laminate or you have some really long work pieces and you're working this on the floor, you just can put a Sustainer 1 down on the ground, you know, 8 feet out and provide, or maybe 6 feet out, and give you that support to rest your piece on while you're making cuts. That is a really nice feature for it. So let's take a look at this. This does come with a bag. Now, you don't see this very often with cordless saws. The bag, honestly, I'm still gonna use it with my shop vac, and this is where I think the saw really shines. And it's not just because of the saw, but because of Festool's battery system. Festool has hands down the best Bluetooth battery setup there is. So how this works is, I'm pretty sure every single Festool battery now they sell comes Bluetooth enabled. So I don't think this is an older one. So I do have another one. All right, here we go. A Bluetooth Festool battery. Like I said though, any new battery, I don't even think they make non-Bluetooth batteries anymore. They're just standard Bluetooth. And why Festool's battery system is the best one is because of the how the Bluetooth is set up. So for example, Makita, you have to buy like a module and put it in your saw, and every single tool, a little Bluetooth module, and put it in all your tools. Where with Festool, the Bluetooth is in the battery. So you could take and with Makita, like for example, if you have a miter saw that came out, you know, 8 years ago, it wouldn't work because it's not going to support their Bluetooth modules. Where if the Bluetooth is in the battery, I could take this and put this on a Festool drill from 10 years ago, and pretty much anytime this battery is activated, then the Bluetooth on my MIDI, I have a Bluetooth MIDI shop vac, then activates and starts it up. So it doesn't matter what tool you use it on. The moment this battery is activated, then the shop vac will then be activated. And that's why I think Festool's battery system is, the design of it is probably the most forward thinking in terms of, there we go, backwards compatibility with all their tools. So you don't really have to worry about, you know, hey, do I have the latest tool that's gonna work with my new shop vac? Festool is actually coming out with 36 volt cordless MIDIs too. So, you know, if you need to be fully cordless, you can have your cordless Capex, a 36 volt cordless MIDI shop vac dust extractor, and have them work together and, you know, be in the middle of nowhere and just have your Festool batteries and everything cordless. I'm going to have a review of the 36 volt MIDI here, hopefully next week or two. So if you guys want to see that, make sure to subscribe for that when that comes out. In terms of cut capacity, it is 305 millimeters long, which is 12 inches. So pretty much a foot. Now, this saw is pretty much, besides for the motor, exactly the same as the standard KS60. But they did do one thing, and I'm not a big fan of this. I'm getting more used to it. This is an extra safety switch. And they did this because this is cordless. I don't think they did it because when you're moving the saw around, they don't want you to accidentally turn it on, where before you can hit this down, and then push this up and it goes. But now you have to push this down, push that in, and then pull it. So I'll give you guys how this sounds. This is, make sure this is on full RPMs. That is a quick break. Let's drop this thing down all the way to the slowest. I think this is 1300 RPM. You can see how that works. So again, that is the one feature they did switch up. Besides that, another great thing, if you guys aren't familiar with Capexes, they all come standard with not angle finder. Well, it is kind of an angle finder, but it's an angle transfer gauge, which is a great thing. So if you're doing, any of you guys, you know, if you're doing baseboards or anything, you guys know it's not exactly never 90 degrees. So how this works is you would take it up, you know, into a corner, you put it up there, you adjust it where this hits both corners of your wall. Again, it's not gonna be 80, 90 degrees exactly unless you have some really good framers, which we all know framers never get 90 degrees. Say it's 85 degrees. You don't even have to worry about trying to measure, you know, find the actual degrees. Just put this up against each corner of the wall so it butts up. When you come and you're gonna transfer it, this lines up right against this lip. And then you can just take this until you line this up against there. And then once you line it up against there, it's a little difficult to do one hand with the camera, but you guys can see what I'm doing. You're gonna line this up where then it hits this back fence. All right, and this isn't gonna be 45, it may be 38 or whatnot. And then you guys can just, you know, make your cut and know you're getting a perfectly accurate, angle with it. So these are really nice. I know the original Kapex has it. I believe this is an updated version of that from the original Kapex. So I know other companies make these. I wasn't sure if Festool was the first one to do this. And then other companies, you know, came off with, I don't want to say knockoffs, but, you know, their own version of it and sold separately. But it's just nice that these are included in the saw now. And it even has a place in the back where they fit. So, you know, when it's not in use, drop it right in there. It stays locked in there secure. So, you know, you can take it with you. It's always there on your saw. That's a really nice feature. The Festool KS6 or 120, it used to, if you guys were going to adjust the bevel, it used to be right here, which was a really nice feature because, you know, it's kind of right here. You never had to reach in the back. You do have to do the traditional handle in the back to adjust the, you know, if you need a tilt angle bevel on it. It's not the end of the world. That is probably the only thing on this saw that I wish it did have. And that's more just a, you know, a luxury type feature. That was more of a kind of cool, unique feature to the Kapex. But I'll be okay. I actually barely even use that, so I can live without it. In terms of the, right here, you do that. You can extend it out, locks them in place. Now, there are a lot of, I believe, all the original KS 120 accessories work with this also. So the KS 120 stand, you know, if you want to get a full-on kit or a stand with the arms and everything, those work with this too. Dust collection, I've used this for a few days. Dust collection is pretty much first class, which, as many of you know, is like what the Kapex was renowned for. And when I say that, though, I mean that with an actual hose adapter. It does probably one of the best miter saws I've used without, not hose, with a shop vac attached to it. It's probably one of the best I've used, you know, without using a shop vac too. But obviously, nothing's gonna beat when you actually have a dust extractor hooked up to it and actually sucking the dust rather than just letting it blow out. So let me show you the back end and how we're going to hook that up. Now this uses Festool's standard dust port, so you can take a 27 millimeter, put it in, or this is a 36 millimeter hose. Have some hose clips on it, which are really nice for 27 and 36 millimeter hoses. Now I don't need the cord on this since this is cordless, but if you guys do need these hose clips, I will post a link in the description below for them. They do come really in handy when you're working with any other tool that actually needs it. But with a 36 millimeter, it goes on top. And besides the hose clips too, one of the biggest things we make, one of the most popular things we're known for, these hose adapters. If you guys have Festool hoses, especially 27 millimeter hoses, bad thing about them being European, they don't work with a lot of hose ports here. It's more proprietary to, you know, their tools. So, you know, if you guys have a DeWalt table saw, DeWalt router, Makita router, pretty much any tool you have that you'd like to use your Festool hose with it, and you can't, we sell adapters for pretty much every tool on the market. So you can use that tool. And if there's a tool that, you know, we don't sell, reach out to me and I'm sure I could probably make one for it. So now that I have that hooked up, I'm going to hook this up to my MIDI and I'm going to show you guys how this actually works. Some test cutting on it and you guys see how it cuts. Now I do have this paired to my Bluetooth MIDI. So with the Bluetooth Festool battery, you know, when I start this, the dust collection is going to automatically pick on, which you guys will hear in a second. this is all the dust that was left from those cuts. As you guys see, it's not very much. Probably one of the better saws I've had in terms of dust collection, especially one paired with a Festool Bluetooth dust extractor. It's pretty much best in its class. And if you guys need, like I said, it does come with that bag, which is compared to any other bag that you get, you know, Makita or anything like that, Festool gives you some pretty nice quality bags. So reusable. When you fill it up, it's got a zipper, you go dump it out. It's a very nice quality bag. So if you guys have any other questions, any things I didn't cover in the saw, just leave a comment below and I'll make sure to answer that. Or I can even make more videos on this. In terms of runtime, I ran these batteries for quite a bit the other day and I never once even had a charge, and I think I lost 1 bar. So the batteries work great. Now I'm using 6.2 amp batteries. So Festool is coming out with new 8 amp ones. So we're gonna have even longer runtime batteries. But let me know what you guys think, and if you guys prefer the cordless Kapex, or if you guys like just the standard, you know, corded 120. All right, thanks.